Hey everybody, welcome to another Man v Mob mini episode. This time I want to mention how I basically try to think about what we're doing right now that is going to be morally reprehensible in the future. Human morals evolve over time and they're quite complex now. Our ethics, our morals, they don't evolve as fast as our technology does. And that's going to be a pretty big problem that we have to talk about because technology really presents whole new situations that we really have no past comparison for and don't really fit our moral structure. And not only that, but generally in the complex world that we live in, the complex, vastly interconnected world, moral situations are not straightforward. It's called a moral dilemma, where you have one competing moral interest against another. So maybe you look at the refugee crisis or the immigration crisis, and it is um, mercy versus justice. Which do you go with? It's difficult. It's not a clear answer, right? Mercy and justice are both moral standpoints, but it's it's generally trying to measure and get something in the middle, and it's extremely tough. And so if we think about the things in the past that today we look upon as morally reprehensible, obviously slavery and and various forms of genocide, things like that stand out in the forefront of our minds. The way that women were treated historically, and and a whole host of we're realizing with the environment, right? Use of pesticides and chemicals. But the thing that I think is going to stand out in a decade, um, hopefully even sooner, that we're going to realize is the way that we have regarded or ignored mental illness. And the signs are all around us, but we still don't know how to handle this topic. It makes us, I think, quite uncomfortable. The notion that we're actually different people inside of our skulls, it's not just our physicality. I think it's easier to accept that people are quite varied in the way that they physically look and their body types and their appearances and whatnot. And if they have physical disabilities or deformities or anything like that, because you have physical evidence, you can see it. But there's this assumption, sort of strangely, that aside from some people who are uh, totally incompetent and some Einsteins, that everybody else exists in pretty much an equal um, mental sphere. They're all pretty much the same, and that's clearly not true. Not only is intellectual intelligence capacity far different between people, probably a big spectrum, but also a variety of different, just like physical ailments, mental ailments. So there are social disorders. Narcissism is one of them, where it's more of an interaction between people that that impedes. If a narcissist was on a desert island, I don't actually know what would happen, but it's really the social effect that is the mental illness part. Um, and there are other mental illnesses, whether it's bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, borderline personality. Well, once again, borderline is a personality disorder, but bipolar, schizophrenia, um, different forms of psychosis that might not be visible all the time, but are really affecting a person individually and in group settings. And then on top of that, you have learning disabilities. You might have ADHD or dyslexia, and the list goes on and on. With all this variety of the human mind, we just kind of sweep it under the rug, or we act like this isn't affecting society at a greater level. Like mental illness is just something that is sort of a topic like agriculture or uh, economics or something, that it's just a piece of a puzzle. And in reality, it affects everything. It really does. And you think about the recent media that's come out. One of them was 13 Reasons Why, where the girl commits suicide and she leaves behind a series of tapes explaining the different reasons and the different people, the different interactions that she had that contributed towards her wanting to commit suicide. You have the movie Joker, which came out recently, and it's a guy who has a serious I don't remember exactly what his mental disorder was. I think it was schizophrenia. But basically, he ends up completely snapping, becoming a madman. Surprise. I think you know that the movie's Joker. And he basically, his justification is, this is what you get when you have a society that abandons you and looks the other way at your suffering effectively. And not only is it in the media, but it's also in real life. We see it around us, but we're not connecting the dots. And we see it in the school shootings that have been occurring, and the other shootings, like the Las Vegas shooting. We see it in the PTSD that soldiers come home with. We see it in the way that um, that uh, people will snap and road rage, or particularly right now in the presidential contest, we sort of, I've alluded to this in the past, we get a sense of amusement out of mental illness sometimes, where we look at Donald Trump and we go, oh, like, isn't that guy, obviously a lot of people really hate him too, but we also go like, isn't that guy kind of like a clown, or isn't he goofy? And obviously also scary that somebody like this can be president at the same time. But the same thing with Biden, where he has mental decline. He has uh, what appears to be dementia. And so you have people using people with mental illness to their advantage, people ignoring mental illness, people using mental illness as entertainment. I'm fairly certain that a large number of the conflicts that we have on reality television are the result of mental illness as their root cause, the various people that you see. And it's just like the freak shows that we used to have in the circus, where we used to have people with physical deformities and we used to laugh at them and parade them around. So it's like, what are we doing here? When are we going to realize that there are deep, deep implications to our ignorance of the human mind and our ignorance of human variation within the skull? And this isn't a this isn't me saying we need to, like, implement a program of eugenics like they tried to do in the early 20th century, where they tried to stick ice picks in people's brains and scramble it around to try to get them to calm down and be more docile. That is the complete wrong, really sinister way that it's been handled. But it seems like because that happened in the past, we have veered away from acknowledging it in the future, because we don't quite know um, how to handle it, other than overly medicating people. But my hope is, by bringing it into the light, we can not only destigmatize it, but we can actually help people regardless of the situation going on in their head. We can try to bring people to a first of all a place of understanding with other people and with mental variation, but also help people who have difficulty, whatever that difficulty is. Um, the thing is, we're all complicit. We're all complicit in what's been going on. Just like people like to throw blame for cover-ups and corruption and pollution and any number of uh, social issues, I guess. We're all complicit in various ways. It's just like the Catholic Church cover up or the Hollywood cover up of the casting couch or any type of corruption, the Nazis or the communists or anybody who says, oh, I'm just following orders or I'm just a small cog in this machine. We're all at fault here. So I'm hoping that we can bring this into the light. If you have any particular stories that you want to share, or if you have any comments, please leave them on the video on YouTube. Please subscribe to Manby Mob and please pass along this video to family members and friends, and let's bring the conversation out into the open. Thank you.